Winter can wreak havoc on your skin. Hey, it's Kayla, and it's not just the weather, but as a new mom, I've seen my skin change in ways that I'm not too happy about. But that's where the Skin Center has you covered. Their most popular treatment is Botox because they're the best at it. They've been ranked a top 10 provider in the nation by Allergan Aesthetics, the makers of Botox. And their best facial is what I got. It's the HydraFacial. It exfoliates, extracts, and hydrates all at once. So save your skin from these winter blues and DM at the Skin Center MD on Instagram and mention code Kayla to get $100 off your first Botox or filler treatment or any skincare package.
You can have your prescriptions brought to your door with 1 to 2 day delivery from your local CVS. Get same-day delivery or just swing by and pick them up on the way home from the doctor. While you're here, get your questions answered and put your mind at ease, because there are still some things that you just can't get in a cardboard box. That's how healthier happens together with CVS. Not all prescriptions eligible for delivery. Restrictions apply. Visit cvs.com/delivery for details.
Welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. I'm Danny Sheriff, your host, certified fertility awareness practitioner, functional nutrition counselor, and founder of the HA Society, and of course, an HA recovery coach who has walked where you currently are walking. This is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. So let's dive in. But last thing, nothing on the show should be taken as medical advice, so please seek the advice of your physician. We have been working with women one-on-one to get their periods back for well over a year, and it's been really effective. We strongly believe that you need a individualized custom recovery protocol that goes across nutrition, lifestyle, mindset, exercise, the whole thing. And we believe in that a lot. We're not really willing to waver from that. But what we have been doing up until now is only offering video-based coaching. And we've been hearing from you guys that that's great, but doesn't work for everyone. So we want to implement this new trial of email-based only coaching. So no scheduling, no Zoom calls. It's all through email. We do a weekly check-in, so you'll send us an email once a week with all of your details, what was working, what's not working. We'll make tweaks and changes to the plan. We'll also get you on track with learning to use the fertility awareness method to track progress. You'll get a customized program. We'll be basically holding your hand through the whole process, and you'll also be able to chat with us as much as you want, or to your assigned coach as much as you need in between these weekly official check-ins. So who is email-based coaching for? It's for anyone who is going through HA recovery, trying to get their period back. It's for anyone who has had a recovery period or 2 or 3 and is looking for help optimizing or getting pregnant or getting back to training and trying to ensure that training isn't getting in the way of their menstrual cycle. We're all about custom goals here, and everyone's an individual and everyone's life is individual. And so we want to work with you to reach whatever goal you have in a way that works with your lifestyle and your mindset, all while helping you to have a solid, healthy relationship with food, with your body, with your exercise. That's our whole mission. So if that's your mission, come and join us. We'd love to work with you at thehasociety.com/coaching. Go there, hit buy now, get started, and I'll immediately send you your intake forms, and we can get started with your goals right away. So that's thehasociety.com/coaching. Hey guys, and welcome back to the HA podcast. It's me, Danny, and I'm joined by a guest today. Many of you will have heard of her before, but her and I have not met. This is our first time chatting. I'm really excited. I have basically got the flow with Chlo Murdoch on, right? Murdoch on.
Yeah,
I said that right.
I usually go by Chloe Catherine, or people know me by Chlo.
Okay.
Either
Is it how I was like, she's Flow with Chlo.
Everyone calls, even my friends call me that, which is funny.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, that's kind of like your stage name, right? So yeah, pumped to have you on. I've seen your name pop up around like on YouTube, and occasionally when I chat with just like clients of mine or members of mine or just people in the community, they'll mention your name. And so it was just like high time that I invited you on and got to know you and brought you into my circle, because I want to know everyone in the space. So welcome.
Perfect. I hope they were saying positive things.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like, it's generally a pretty positive community. I find it's nice to be in it. Yeah, so I'm pumped to have you on here, get to know you, hear your story. Most of my show is a mixture of like hearing recovery stories from all different perspectives. So they're like all different people, no like one certain type of like, oh, I did all in. No, we have like all different stories, as well as like getting experts, practitioners on maybe to share about certain aspects of women's hormone health or amenorrhea recovery. And, you know, just like me talking philosophically sometimes about things. So that's what we do on the show. And I'm excited to have you come and share your story today. So, Chlo, will you please kind of tell us a bit about who you are? I know that you're a dynamic eating psychology coach, a therapeutic nutrition counselor, and an eating disorder recovery mentor. But so like, what got you into that? Like, where does your story actually begin?
So my story, I feel like, began really when I was in 6th grade. I developed an autoimmune condition called vitiligo, which created these white spots or white patches on my skin. And I became very, very self-conscious about my body because I looked different. I was different than everyone else. And as a 6th grader, that's traumatizing to a certain extent. And so I remember, sitting down bench watching all of the kids play. And I remember thinking to myself at the, like, what are you, 12 in 6th grade? Like a young age. And I remember thinking to myself, if my skin is perfect, my body has to be. And I didn't act upon that for another couple of years. But I think that that's really, truly kind of where it started, was this feeling of just like, I'm different. I'm not as pretty as all of the other girls. And I need to change myself somehow to make me be someone who's worthy of love. And so it wasn't until 9th grade when I really started getting into dieting and trying to shift and transform and change body. And my mother had an eating disorder. And it was a pretty quick, I feel like once I, dipped into that energy debt, it would be quick to escalate into a whole eating disorder. So it started out with anorexia, where I was just like refusing to eat. But over time, I found that my disorder kind of transformed and it changed. It went from anorexia to all of a sudden just orthorexia, being so fixated on the cleanliness of certain foods. And I mean, if butter even got within like 10 feet of me, I would completely freak out. I think literally nearly every diet on this earth. Like I've been keto, I did the GAPS diet, paleo, I did medical medium, I did the pH miracle, I did vegan, raw vegan. I've done everything. And it was always just trying to make myself better because I didn't think that I was good and lovable. And over time, also transformed into exercise addiction. So I would exercise for like 6 hours a day. It was pretty intense. Had multiple gym memberships to like literally everywhere. The, Pilates studio, the yoga, the gym, the CrossFit, the swimming pool, like everywhere. And it was 11 years of me really just battling with this thing called being in my body and eating. And when I was 14, I lost my period. And it didn't come back until I was 25 when I finally reached my breaking point of I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And I think what really got me to make that big change was seeing all my friends just move on with their life and, go on to get married, have kids, have a career, do all these things. And I was stuck. I was completely stuck. Just in my thoughts and my anxiety. I was stuck in my fears. I was stuck in everything. And I finally just one day was like, I'm done. I'm totally done. This has to change. And so I did end up kind of I don't like labels, and I don't think anyone needs to label their journey. But if you kind of label it, I did end up taking more of like an all-in approach, because I literally was like, F it. Like, I'm going for this. I let go of every single food rule I ever had. I really allowed myself to eat. Like, I was purposely eating to gain weight so that I could get my period back. I was listening to my extreme hunger, and I completely cut out exercise for like 8 months. And it was just 5 months into my whole kind of journey of doing that I got my period back. But I always love to tell people that like I got way more than just my period. I think we use the period as a post of like, yes, this is what I'm working. But I quickly found out in my journey, and I found that all my clients out pretty quickly in this journey, this is way more than just menstruating. This is you getting your life back from diet rules and diet dogma. This is you feeling free with food. This is you connecting back to your femininity, coming back to yourself, feeling grounded, feeling confident, you putting up to intimacy back in your life. So many beautiful things happened in the whole recovery process. And from there, I knew kind of from a young age, I was going to help people through this journey. So even before I was healed, I knew that like my purpose was to get myself to a healed place so that I could help others, because I know how powerful it is to have other people who have been through our journey guide you and mentor you through that whole process. And I wanted to be that for other people. So once I finally just like it clicked, and I was just like, wow, everything shifted and changed. My mindset, my perspective on life, my view with my body, everything just radically changed. I ended up studying dynamic eating psychology. I studied therapeutic nutrition. I studied public health with an emphasis in women's health. I really dived into everything I could learn about not only, what are, how do I nourish myself? How do I support my metabolism? But also, how do I heal and transform my relationship with food and my relationship with like capital L life. And that's kind of my journey. Sorry, that was long-winded, but that's brought me to where I am now, where I have helped, hundreds of women get their period back, have babies, and have just a beautiful relationship with food.
So I particularly love what you had mentioned. So that's something we talk about all the time, where it's like, this isn't really like, yes, it's about periods, but we care a lot more about the fact that it brings you your life back. Because I have a co-coach in my company, and we're often in our like community group calls saying, we don't actually care that much about your period. We care a lot more about what you're getting on the other side of it. It's huge. And so I experienced that too. I got really passionate for similar reasons, where you go down this path and you're like, oh, life is way more vibrant than I was.
Oh my gosh,
realizing.
It's exactly that. It's like all of a sudden you were living in black and white, and now it's like the rainbow of colors is presented in front of you.
That's
and
exactly what it's like.
Oh my gosh, I know. So I often say with like on my, Instagram and podcast and all that, I was just living like flatlined for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had like zero emotion. I feel like I was a numbed out zombie, and I had to be, because what I was doing to my body was awful. So my body had to numb out. And I thought I was fine during that time. I was like, I'm totally fine. I was also kind of a little bit of a maniac. Like I never cried. And I see that now as being like, that's not like a normal thing. Like now that I'm like, I'm a hormonal woman, like I am like, I cry, I laugh, I'm like super excited, then I'm super sad. And I like have learned to really love to dance with all those emotions and to see it as such a beautiful thing that has just brought my life like a little bit of zest. It's just fun.
Yes. It's when I first kind of got to start eating all of the different foods again, I was like, oh, it's like that saying, food is the spice of life. Like totally. For me, it actually is. It's like adding flavor to my life at these different intervals of the day, and it's creating like the energy and the fuel and the satiation I need to be able to go and like build relationships and move my body in a way that feels good and is not just like because I'm trying to, solve a problem that isn't real. Yeah, it opens it up. And one of the things I think about is how I would always watch the clock to the next meal because I was hungry. I was like, oh, when's lunchtime?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you're always just like, it's only 11:30. I've got like half an hour, I can make it, yada yada. But now you forget almost to eat like sometimes, and you're like, oh yeah, yay, it's 1 o'clock, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna eat lunch. And the ability to, maybe you have something on in your day and you can't have lunch till like 2 or 3, but you can handle it. It's not stressful anymore.
Well, and it works the other way. Say you're hungry at 11 o'clock. You don't care that you have anything 11 o'clock. You're like, I'm just going to eat. Like, this doesn't mess up anything else in my day. I'm just going to eat. I feel like I've numbed out, oddly enough, because I'm obviously working with people every day, going through their journey and kind of in a way going through my own journey all the time, but I've numbed out from a lot of things. And that was one of them right there, is just how like mathematical my eating was with the dang clock. I would sit down with my food and I would literally look at the clock and wait for it to strike 2. Like it couldn't be, I couldn't eat at 1:50. I couldn't eat at 1:55. I had to eat at exactly 2.
Interesting.
And yeah, it rules your life, right? You can't be free when you are so tied down.
Yeah. Yes. So there are definitely people listening who are like, I want that. I don't have that yet. What was it that really brought you to like, okay, how do I help get this happening for other women? If you even remember.
Yeah. So how do I help other women get to that point where they're like, I want this?
Well, like, what made you really want to help other women get there? Because like, I don't know about you, right? But I come across many women who there's like, I just need to get this problem solved so I can move on with my life, which much respect. But you're kind of like me in the sense that you're like, I'm going to dedicate myself to this issue. Yeah. What made that happen?
I think it was the amount of pain that I felt. And then conversely, the amount of joy and elation I felt that really got me to be like, I have to help other people through this. Because I know that, I mean, I see it. I'm in Southern California. Oh my gosh. I'm really good. Of course, you cannot diagnose anyone by just looking at them, but I'm really good at telling when someone is struggling with food and body. Like really, really good at just pinpointing it out. I just need to see them for a couple minutes and I get it. And it really hurts me to see that so many women are getting caught in the same train of thought, the same diet culture myths and lies that I did. And I'm just personally, I know everyone, we have our own life journey. And yeah, some people it's like, I just need to move on. And now I want to become a lawyer and I want to be doing all those things. For me, I was like, no. There are sisters out there who I can help get out of this. And again, like I said, like for me, it was so absolutely helpful to see other people who had gone through my journey and who were recovered. I had a couple people in my own personal life. And then there's a couple people that I followed online that I really just kind of really just resonated with. And that was like such a huge key point or part, I should say, of my own recovery. And so I wanted to be that for someone else. But I wanted to do it too in like my own way, because a lot of the ways that I saw didn't necessarily all resonate with me. And a couple of the people that I did follow, I found out later on that they weren't as free as they claimed. And they were always kind of trying to give some sort of diet thing associated with like, get your period back and be vegan. I was like, yeah, this just isn't resonating with me, because that's not full freedom to me. So I really wanted to be a huge just inspiration to other women out there that you can be so radiantly healthy and completely free with food.
Yes. Okay. And I love that you went there, because my next question was, you mentioned, that you had your own way and you don't really like to put labels on anything. I assume you also kind of
prescribe or subscribe to the idea that everyone's individual and like the route one woman needs to take is different to the other. Like, tell me a little bit more about, you basically just started talking about it now. Like, I want to hear more about what you see are the challenges in the space of women trying to get their period back, because now it's just this whole like community. And where would you like to see it go?
God, that's a really good question. One, I think it's so beautiful that there are so many people out there that are really trying to spread, the message about getting your period back and getting yourself to a healthier place. And so, I'm someone who, it took me a while to get out of my whole journey. And there were parts of my journey, like, I feel like my whole journey was kind of like the stock market, where it was like crazy up and then crazy down, crazy up. But overall, it was up and to the right. Like, overall, I was making progress and really learning a lot throughout my like 11-year journey of this. And so there were moments where I look at it now and it was typical quasi recovery, but I was feeling like really good. And I felt like I have this is good. Like, and I was trying to help other people and claimed that I knew everything. And I look back at that now and I was like trying to, to be brutally honest, like I was trying to do the whole like be vegan and recover type of thing. And I was like, no, this is the way. And I can totally recover with this. And so when I see people like that in the online sphere, one, there's zero judgment towards them because I get it. We're all on this journey of trying to just find this freedom for ourselves and trying to find health and vitality. Now, my thoughts on this is that, sure, you can potentially, maybe, although I have a good argument against this, get your period back, say being vegan. But are you getting full freedom back? And when I look at the kind of the behaviors of my eating disorder and say me as someone who is vegan, I see that they're so similar. And I'm not trying to pick on veganism right here. That's just simply my journey. And so that's why I'm mentioning that. But like when I was vegan, I would go to the grocery store. I had to look at every single ingredient label to make sure there wasn't like butter or eggs or meat or anything like that. When I went to a restaurant, I had to make the waitress make all these modifications to my meals. Anytime I went to a friend's house, it was always a reminder, hey, I'm vegan. Can I bring a vegan dish? Can you make sure that you don't add cheese to that? X, Y, Z. And so I look at like, those are my vegan behaviors. And then I look at my eating disorder behaviors, religiously checking every single ingredient label, asking the waitress to modify every single meal.
They're very linked.
They're the same. And so what I would love to see in this space is really more of a push towards completely letting go of diet labels. Because I find that a lot of people are still holding on to them. And now I study therapeutic nutrition. So I'm not saying nutrition doesn't matter. I'm not saying that we can't have some form of like gentle nutrition and we can't understand what's really going to help support our body and support our health. But that's not a rule. And that's not a diet. That's more, yeah, I understand that eating steak and eggs and fish and veggies and fruit and grapes, like that's all going to be supportive for my health. But that doesn't mean don't go and have the donut. Don't go and have the chocolate cake. Don't like feel guilty or think that it's a quote unquote treat. I don't like that as well. I really try and help people just find this flow with food instead of like, let's open up to everything. Let's understand the foods that are going to be super supportive to get your period back. AKA don't be eating just like oil-free salads all day. Like you need the steak, you need the potatoes, you need the cheese, you need those things. But also having complete freedom and just allowance with it all, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Like being super well-rounded. Because I find like there's even an HA diet. Like I don't think people quite realize, but there are also people who are like, this is how you should eat to get your period back. And it's just like, well, okay. And I get where a lot of them are coming from, because what they're basically trying to do is get you to remove your food rules around processed foods, because that's like a big one, a big example that I see. And so we're so used to being on some kind of diet with some kind of rules or structure to follow that we then are like, okay, so I'm gonna like eat all this ice cream and get my period back, and then like that doesn't work, or it causes a flux of new problems that is uncomfortable. And so there's still not freedom there, which is so interesting for many people. It's still like I'm forcing myself to be uncomfortable in my body in order to get my period back, which is so similar to forcing yourself to be uncomfortable and like hungry, restricted, overexercised. Like yeah. How do we stop swinging the pendulum so far in each of these directions and bring it all together into like this harmony that you're describing?
100%. And first off, like, I think there kind of has to be like the law of physics. Like there has to be a little bit of a swing to the other side before you can pendulum swing into the middle, which is where you want to go. But I think like kind of the bigger answer to your question there is really doing the bigger work, which is what it sounds like you do with your community. And that's what I do with mine. Like really having them start to look at their relationship with nourishment, not with food, with nourishment. Nourishment can come from, intimacy. Nourishment can come from nature. Nourishment can come from just relaxation. Nourishment can come from so many different areas. And so a lot of us, when we're stuck in this deprivation mindset, we're our whole life is the antithesis to nourishment, and we've blocked it out. We don't like anything. Like the eating disorder brain's kind of weird. It flips everything around. Like we are designed as human beings to seek out pleasure and avoid pain. Well, when you have an eating disorder, you are designed to seek pain and avoid pleasure.
Yeah.
And so we got to do the work to redefine your relationship with pleasure. And diet culture has come in and said pleasure's bad because if it's pleasurable, then it's guilty, then you'll eat more, and if you eat more, then you'll gain weight. And it's spun this whole just negative story around pleasure. But personally, I grew up in a French household where, the French culture, they view pleasure in a way different way, especially in terms of food, where it's like, no, you don't eat unless it is pleasurable. Like if you're going to eat something, you do it right. You don't skip out and use like oil-free, or not oil-free, but like a light, virgin olive oil. Like you use a good quality olive oil. You actually use just real sugar, not monk fruit. You actually do it right so that it tastes good, because they understand how important pleasure is to health and well-being and vitality.
Are you listening to this show hoping to get some golden nuggets to help you on your way to recovery? Well, great. I hope that you find them, because that is exactly what this show is for. But if you really want to take your recovery all the way, completely commit and get on track with your goals, whether they be finally feeling overall healthy, finally getting pregnant, or finally getting back to training, you'll want to join us inside of the HA Society. Not only is this the perfect community to ask questions and get your support and the accountability that you so often need during these uphill battles with body image and understanding nutrition and incorporating exercise, but it's also a hub of exclusive resources for HAs. All of the HA podcast episodes are released in advance and completely ad-free, so you can listen on the go to the raw, unedited versions uninterrupted. All of the one-on-one coaching calls, of which we have 2 a week in different time zones, are uploaded to our private podcast feed so that you can listen to events with practitioners and the past community calls as though they were bonus podcast episodes, because I know how much you love to listen to this kind of stuff. And in these calls, we cover requested topics like overcoming the weight gain fears, communicating with friends and family about our HA, diving into how HA works, and debunking the imposter syndrome that so many of us have around this diagnosis. There's also an entire resources section with lectures, workshops, and training from the past events that are hosted by experts like Sarah Liz King, Laura Lyons, Kaylee McDevitt, Holly Dunn, and many more. As a member, you also get direct access to myself and Coach Ashley in the DMs. So if you have personal questions or need individualized advice about your recovery, we're in there answering your questions in the DMs, as are all of our other members in the group who impress me week after week with how they show up for each other. It's incredible. It's like women are just all becoming mini coaches for each other. It's so good. The HA Society is really the place to be if you're going through recovery, no matter what stage you're at. Whether you have HA or you've got a few recovery periods, we have your back and we're all your new best friends. So come and meet us at thehasociety.com/join. That's thehasociety.com/join, and the link is in the show notes for you. Okay, on with the show.
Everything you just said was like, I loved the whole thing. The whole thing was great. At least if you're listening, that should probably be the soundbite. You should be listening. Make the soundbite. That I like. It just was. I've never really been able to explain it like that, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. I think people are gonna like have their hand up or their hands up, and they're like, yes, that's what I want, or that's where I'm trying to go. And I think that's why I love having these conversations, is because we actually don't realize, like, there are people who will be listening and they don't realize that their pendulum is still swinging in the other direction. And these conversations are helpful to get people to slow it down and have it land in the middle.
Yeah, because we want you to feel comfortable in your body. We want you to feel strong. We want you to feel confident. And we want you to find that balance. Like, all of my clients, I tell them, I'm like, my goal isn't to have you like all of a sudden become obese and to hate your body. Like, that's not my goal as your recovery coach. Like, my goal, excuse me, sorry. My goal is to help you come back to just a place of balance for yourself, a place that like naturally just feels good. And yeah, it's not going to be that suppressed body weight that you've been doing for the past couple of years, but that doesn't mean swinging all the way over here. Like, we completely, when we're struggling with an eating disorder, we're really used to seeing things in this like black and white kind of perspective, where it's like, either I'm this or I'm that. Either I'm eating sugar all the time or I'm never eating sugar. And it's like so black and white. And there's no concept of just like, or there's the gray area where like you sometimes have cake and you sometimes don't. Like,
it's so much more gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe we can even put it, because gray is not like very sexy.
It's like gray is where the color is for some reason.
Yeah, it's like that's the rainbow of colors. Like, we're on the spectrum of black and white, but there's a rainbow of colors in between. And we, for some reason, love to be bouncing on these extremes over here. Yeah, I've even noticed that with some of my vegan followers, because a lot of people who used to be vegan follow me because, again, that was my whole journey. And so they really resonate with that. But I remember, like, when I left veganism, someone was like, oh, well, you should go carnivore now. And I'm like, no, like, the whole idea is me to stop being so extreme with my food. So I was like, I'm not just going to now completely say no to vegetables and to bread and to everything. Like, I'm just going to try eating all of it. And what's really ironic about it is that when I finally just let go of all of these diet rules and just listened to my body and just ate food that sounded good, my health just radically improved.
Yeah.
Magically, right? Like, magically. Who would have ever thought? Like, I spent my life either like eating plain toast because I didn't eat butter, so it would just be plain toast, or putting butter in my coffee and never eating bread. Like, and I didn't realize, like, or what just innately sounds good to you, toast with some butter slapped on top, is going to be the better way. That's more supportive for your health.
Yeah. And people feel like they have to have, this consistency. Like, I eat these things every day, but, bringing things in, taking things out is just like a very natural, organic thing. I was actually having this conversation with my husband this morning, who we led very different lives. And so he more recently started learning about nutrition and stuff. And when you first learn about that, you do get very like
dogmatic
evangelical,
about it,
for sure.
Evangelical, for sure.
Yeah, and I like I'm so far past that it's so interesting to like live with someone who's going through that. But he's lucky to have me because I can like bring him down.
Pull him back. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this morning he was, we had bacon in the house. And so we've both been having bacon in our breakfast for like a week and a half or something. And he's just like, it's probably not good that I have bacon every day, huh? And I was just like, I think it's good that you just like have this thing come in, and when you're finished with it, you'll probably rotate it out for something else. And it's good to have these things coming in and out and just going with the flow of it. Like, and he just loved that. He was like, yeah, cool.
So
Instead of yes
like,
or no, good or bad.
Yeah, I feel like we have really learned to not trust our bodies and to give over responsibility of our own health and nutrition to all these random people that we've never met. The diet gurus, the books, the podcast, all of that. And yeah, sure, maybe we can get little nuggets of wisdom from all these little places, but we always have to just take it back to our body. And when we understand that our body is always on our side and our body is always speaking to us, like if you lost your period, your body is screaming at you, honey. Like it is screaming. That is it talking to you. Is like something is really, really off right now. But there's nothing to fear. So this is what I like loved about my journey was I came back into this trust with my body of like, okay, body, evolution has been designing you for years and years to really keep you alive, to survive. This is like written within my DNA. So I need to trust that when I'm done eating the bacon, my body's going to tell me, hey, you're done with this. And that happens. Like I still have yet to be able to add avocados back in. Not in like if someone slapped avocado in my meal, I don't care. But I don't buy avocados anymore because my vegan days, I was eating like 3 avocados a day.
You're so over
and
it.
So my body's like, no, why? No, never. Like, don't do that. Now that's not a dogmatic rule. See that I just said that like, hey, if someone gave me something and it has avocado and I'm not trying to pick this out, but it's just in general, when I go to the grocery store, I'm never like, ooh, avocados, because my body kind of got its fill of that. But I'm sure there's going to be a time where my body's like, oh my gosh, an avocado would be amazing with this. So it's learning to just trust that your body has your side and it will start to tell you, you just have to be listening. And a lot of us, because we're living in this numbed out state and we've like disconnected from our body, well, now we have this like bad relationship with ourselves. And what's like, I don't know, maybe the top 4 things that you need for a good relationship. You need communication, you need quality time, you need, trying to think of other stuff here. You need unconditional love. Like there's all these things that you need for a good relationship. And we see that with other people, but then yet when it comes to our body and when it comes to food, we don't understand that that's like a super important relationship to be working on. And so if you're not spending time, if you're not listening for feedback, if you're not like communicating with your body, yeah, it's going to be easy to get off balance. But if you're listening, you're going to hear when something's off. So you just have to be open to actually honoring that. So like when your body says stop eating whole grain bread and just eat white bread, you have to honor that. I don't care what like nutritional doctor tells you that white bread is bad. If your body every time you eat whole grain bread is like, I'm bloated, I'm fatigued, I hate this, but you eat white bread and it's like, woohoo, this is amazing. You need to just accept that your body is wanting that.
I have a quiz question for you then, because I feel like I get this a lot, and what you were just talking about was sort of relevant. There are people listening who will think, yeah, but how do I listen? Like, I don't know how. So many, I'm sure you've heard this question. How do I know if I'm actually hungry, or like if I don't know what the other option is, honestly, but there's this feeling, there's this belief that you can be wrong about what it is that you want. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, well, first off, when you've suppressed your appetite signals for such a long time, and when you're living in what I call a low metabolic state, or you can call it energy debt, you're not, and this is what's tricky about recovery, this is why it's so helpful to do it with someone, you can't necessarily listen to your hunger and fullness signals yet. And I know that's really like, and now this is hard because everyone's at a different place right now. So if you're a little bit further along on your journey, sure, hunger signals should be back and you should be able to start listening to them. If you're in the beginning of this, you've been heavily restricting like 1,200 calories a day, right? And over exercising. At that point, kind of how I go about that is like, we need to just systematically be continuing to increase and continuing to eat consistently throughout the day, even if you're not hungry. Now, that doesn't mean stuff yourself until you feel like Thanksgiving full at every single meal and then you feel super sick, but it means you're really going to have to push yourself to get your body out of that low metabolic state so that you can actually turn your hunger and fullness signals back on. But as far as, okay, how am I going to know if my body's telling me the right thing? It's kind of what I just said with like the period of like, your body tells you in these signs and symptoms. Are you losing your hair? How's your sleep? How are your bowel movements? How's your skin? Are you sick all the time? Like those things are going to be telling you whether you're in a strong, in a strong state of health or whether you're in a weakened state of health. And so from there, you can kind of analyze, what have I been doing? What has been feeling good? What hasn't been feeling good? How can I experiment? And I think we all need to kind of get rid of this idea of perfection with this. There is no such thing as now I'm going to be a perfect eater. Like life is a classroom and this is the lessons that we're going to be learning, and it's a journey and you're not always going to get it right. So you can't be afraid of getting messy and dirty at times. Like, yeah, there are some times where I eat and I'm like, okay, that was not the right thing. Like my stomach is not happy now. That's okay. No judgment, no guilt, no shame. That's simply
just like a fact of there's something that just happened.
Yeah, I'm like, cool, that just happened. Now I know that prunes don't do my stomach well. Like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But I think kind of, again, just diving deeper into this, it's slowing down. We are living in this world where it's like constantly go, 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 do. We're being human doings and not human beings. And again, it's so easy to not listen or be confused about what you're hearing from your body when you're just running around like a chicken with his head cut off and you're just like going around crazy all day.
Massive issue with our culture, for sure.
Huge. This is outside of just eating sort of recovery. This is like our society. We really praise overworking, and we praise, doing the HIIT classes 7 days a week at the gym and saying yes to everyone, and really just not
I mean, if we really get to root cause of why your period's missing, right, it's like it's the pressure that's been put on you to go do, and we have lost touch with the fact that like that is this weird messed up like man-made thing that we created. It's like a part of our society that's not right. And so when I talk to women who are like, but I'm not that stressed, or like, why can that girl over there do all of these things and it doesn't affect me, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you are that stressed. You've just normalized it.
And that's such a dangerous thing to be like, look at that girl over there who's getting away with it. And I think that begs the question. She's not, first off. Yeah, she totally is not. You have no idea what she's going through. But also, why do you want to get away with it? So you got to understand, like, what's my addiction to deprivation? What's my addiction to harming myself, to not wanting to give myself pleasure, relaxation, joy? And so really looking at analyzing that of like, why am I seeking out restriction? Why is that so alluring to me? Also,
chances are you have a belief that people who rest and who say no and blah blah, you have a judgment on them and what it means about them, and thus yourself if you do that too.
Do you know what I love about my recovered life? I work 4 hours a day for 4, maybe 5 days a week. That's it. The rest of the time I'm living my life. I don't exercise every single day. In fact, this past week, I've been in my luteal phase. And lately I've been really slowing down in my luteal phase, and it's rainy and cold. It's winter.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to the gym in like a week and a half. There's no feeling of I should be going to the gym though. And so this is the beauty of learning how to step away from that toxicity and stepping into like, this is my life. I'm going to own it. I'm going to claim it for myself. I'm going to live in a way that feels good to me. I don't put that pressure on myself of you need to be working 10-hour days. No, I need to be connected to my intuition. I need to be connected to my power, and I need to put in amazing 4 hours of work every single day. I know myself. I tap out after 4. I can't do it. I'm not myself.
I think most people, if they're being
Most
really
people
honest,
do, if we're being real, but our culture is like, you got to work 8 to 5. And now I know
like, what are you doing for 8 hours if you work? I don't even.
Some of my friends have 8 to 5s, and I'm literally just like, how do you have work every day? Like, I don't get it. Like, haven't you finished developing the app? Like, what else is there to do?
Yeah.
Now I know that like this is a big picture, things that need a shift. I know not everyone can just, get rid of their 9 to 5. Not everyone.
No, it's something you have to like chip away at.
You got to chip away at it, and you got to start realizing, like, I have a bunch of clients, one in particular I'm thinking of, who lovely lady, but she stays like 2 hours after work just finishing up stuff. I'm like, did everyone else go home? Yeah, everyone else went home. Go home. Like, why are you pushing yourself to work more and more and more and more? You got to honor this time that you have off of your work. So if you can't change your work situation right now, you better be really, really good at creating a beautiful environment for yourself outside of work. I tell my clients, I'm like, I got to get you out of New York City, like the hustle bustle of the city where everyone's moving and going and taxis are honking and all that. And I got to put you in Hawaii when you're wearing like a bikini, maybe some white linen, and drinking a pina colada. Like, you got to learn how to shift back into that energy state, because that's the state of healing, and that's the state you'll get your period in, not in the stress state. Like, I tried that. Trust me, it doesn't work.
Yeah, don't listen to the American system of 2 weeks of vacation. The Australian Canadian system of 4 weeks that we get is like, that is made up. Like we need to kind of redefine it for ourselves. And it's hard work to like unwire the connection that you've made to like, this is how we do things, and this is how I was raised. And like, oh, my mom would be screaming at me if she found out I only worked 4 days a week. True story. So I get it.
Well, I mean, I think we're kind of told that like you're only successful, right? It's like, here's the list. If you have 6-pack abs, if you have a thigh gap, if you eat clean, if you drink kale juice, if you are a lawyer, if you are a doctor, and we have this kind of like, this is this ideal that we're all trying to strive for because we were told by some
and it should be easy.
Society.
It should be easy. And if that shit doesn't come easy to you, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly. And so how toxic is that? And I think more and more people are really just being proof that you can be wildly successful following your passion.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I knew I was going to be very successful at what I do, is that I am so freaking dang passionate about this that I was like, there's no way. I'm putting out so much energy out there. There's no way that things aren't going to be attracted back to me. And I've been able to work full-time for myself, working minimal hours like a week, doing what I love. And so it's all this stuff. Now, I know we're not talking about work here, but we have to understand that this, like you said before, this isn't just about your period. This is everything. And this is all kind of connected. And so we have to really start looking at where our self-limiting beliefs are. We have to start really looking at how we have viewed our worth and what we've deemed to be successful and good and a good life, or what we deem to make us happy. And we have to start rewriting a new story. And that's the process of, I don't want to call recovery because that's not what it is. It's discovery. It's discovering who you want to be now in this world. You're not recovering back to when you're 13 years old and before you got into this whole like eating disorder mess. No, you're a woman now. You're creating your life and you have that power. And so it's all about stepping into that.
I love that. HA discovery. That's freaking, I've never even thought of that term. It's fantastic. Taking it.
Do it. Take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
Thank you so much. It's like a great way to kind of close this out is like you were talking about. I love how you work with your clients. Basically,
people need someone to tell them, like, you need to go home after work at 5. Like, I love that you do that, digging into the lifestyle factors. It's not just like, hey, like, let's look at your useless blood work.
Oh my gosh, the blood work. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. I knew you'd get it because we do the same thing. There's no way you wouldn't get it. Yeah, like the actual what's
blood work. I know why your period's gone. Like,
yeah, we don't need that. But that's exactly like what it is okay, let's comb through your life. Yes, what are you eating? How are you like treating your body and through exercise? But like, what do you want to do with your life, and why aren't you doing it? And like, what are the stories you have in your head that you have to be doing that are actually taking you away from happiness? Like, people need that. So it's noble freaking work. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, let me put this real quick, just another way too, just to wrap this kind of up. Food is just a mirror into what's happening into your life. And so when we fix the life things, when we get you back into balance and living authentically, there's some clients I don't even talk about food, and food figures itself out, because when you reconnect to life and you reconnect to yourself and to your passions and to relationships, and you're just opening up to like the goodness that life has to offer, trust me, food is a symbol. Like, every single time we eat, we're affirming to this universe that we want to live. And so when you want to live, trust me, the food naturally fixes itself. Like, yeah, of course, there's some things that we can do, but I think having that bigger perspective of this is simply symbolizing something else going on, we can really get back to the root cause. And that's why it's like, it's not another meal plan. It's not another diet. That's not it. You got to be looking at this stuff over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, I love it. Okay. Well, if people want to learn more about how they can talk to you, work with you, be a part of your community, where would you be pointing us?
Yeah, just head on over to my Instagram, because there you will find me on YouTube, my podcast and everything. So it's just at Flow with Chlo. That's 2 W's in there. And yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so very much. I hope you have a really great day. P.S. to everyone. When she was talking about like, it's winter, it's cold, it's rainy, she's just like in California, and this is her version of cold, but she's totally just in a boob tube and like just chilling out on like a warm California winter day. And I think it's so great.
When you're healthy, you have a high body temperature. So I feel like I'm running hot all the time.
For sure.
It's like 40 degrees outside and raining, and I am wearing a tube top.
Yeah, I love it. Because a lot of my listeners are in like the Europe, so they're like in the snow, and I just want them to know that that's not what's happening right now. I'm in Texas, she's in California. It's like just not that cold. Okay, thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing day, and everyone else, talk to you next time.
Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much, because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women.
A lot of us are looking for ways to start our day feeling more joy and appreciation. And while some of us write gratitude lists or do yoga, others pour themselves a bowl of their favorite cereal, Honey Nut Cheerios. Because not only are Honey Nut Cheerios delicious, they can help lower cholesterol as part of a heart-healthy diet. So maybe the secret to a great mood all day is a little yoga, then writing your gratitude list over a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. Learn more about a heart-healthy lifestyle at Cheerios.com.